So this title was inspired by the work of Byron Katie. And it was a particular chapter that said the following, which at the time, which was like a week or two ago, I railed like Scarlett O'Hara under the tree. No, this cannot be true. No. But it said this: life is simple. Everything is for you. Everything that happens is for you and not to you. You see, that simple statement rises us out of a sense of life happening to us, the very definition of a victim-level consciousness. That very sentence is so freeing. And that if we can walk through life with that as a mantra, life is very simple. Everything that happens is for me. There is a freedom in this. She goes on to say that it happens at exactly the right moment. No. I wanted more time. No way. But she says it happens at exactly the right moment, neither too soon nor too late. And further, she acknowledges that you don't have to like it. No, I can choose that. It's just easier if I accept it and allow it. You see, what creates my suffering, and I invite you to consider if this is true for you, is the story I make that argues with this statement. It's the story I craft, and then I enroll you in it. Right? And there we are in right doing and wrong doing and good and bad. Rather than trusting what is, I have started signing my name as Claudia René, spiritual leader, lover of what is. Now, that's a Byron Katie phrase, right? But I'm claiming it. Am I there? No, not always. But it's what I aspire. It's what I'm claiming. It's what I'm claiming, my independence from arguing with what is, my independence from the stories I want to create about right doing and wrong doing, and my dependence upon the simplicity of life being for me and not against me. The simplicity of allowing that to be how I walk forth. And the arguments that I make, it was abrupt, it was mean, it was this, it was that, is bullshit. Because I'm arguing with what is. I love this opportunity. I love the opportunity that I get to explore and experience how God is my source and not an employer and not any entity or thing. God is my source. I get to explore that at a deeper level. I've been saying it for years. And God is my source through all the various ways, but if I ever mistake the avenue through which it comes with being my source, then I'm imprisoned and I'm not free anymore. I'm free fallen, folks. I am free fallen. I don't know where I'm gonna land. I don't know how it's gonna be, but what I'm saying isn't about me, it's about us. How are you free falling in your life? What are you claiming independence from? What limitations, what fears are you ready to let go of? What misidentifications? And it's like all in on God. Putting all those chips, everything in on God. Spirit source. She says, give evil nothing to oppose and it will disappear by itself. All evil is, in our New Thought teaching, all evil is a temporary, momentary lapse or lack of love. And is that even possible? Not really. Not really. But that's another talk. And so, in the midst of this, I don't know if this will ever get posted, but in the midst of this, people have come up to me and said, where are the dead bodies? Boy, what'd you do? What'd you do? And my reaction was, well, what the heck did I do? I'm going to start looking because I'm at cause in my life, aren't I? How did I cause this? I've looked. I've explored. I've come to know that everything is for me. And I've come to know that this isn't about me at all. There's freedom in that too. There's freedom in having nothing to hide. Boy, that's just not how I've operated. Haven't you felt like, oh, if they only knew this, or that about me, that they wouldn't love me anymore? Do you know the gifts that I have received are that people look me in the eye and say, no matter what, tell me what the body is, but no matter what, I love you. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. So A Course in Miracles says this. It says, there is a false belief that darkness can hide. And so we perceive that there's darkness within ourselves, and what do? We try to hide it. We try to hide it. We believe that what we can't see with our physical eyes doesn't exist. And it says that the escape from darkness is to recognize that darkness cannot hide, and to recognize that there is nothing you want to hide. There's nothing anybody wants to hide. That when you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but you will also understand peace and joy. There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide. What I have learned is that my greatest fear, when brought to light, has turned out to be the greatest freedom of all. Byron Katie says, give us permission through you to have a flaw. Give yourself permission to have a flaw, because flaws are the norm in this human experience. When you hide your flaws, you teach us to hide ours. I love to say that we are just waiting for one teacher, just one, to give us permission to be who we are now. That is such a gift to give. The pain is in withholding. Who else is going to give us permission to be free if not us? And when you are free, we all become free. So I went on a little trip over the past week because life is for me. I can see all the ways that everything that has transpired over the last month has been for me. I get a call. I get a call to go up to Toledo, Ohio to do a funeral unexpectedly. They want me to come up there. They're willing to bring me up there. Well, I have nowhere to be. So like I can go. And so I go. I haven't been home in 2 years. This is where I grew up. This is where my siblings are. This is where the people who raised me in ministry are. This is where the people who knew me when, know who I am, what I am, and how I serve, and love me no matter what, abide. But guess what I've learned? They abide everywhere. I'm looking at them right now. But anyway, I go there. I get off the plane at Toledo Metro Airport. It has 5 gates. You can look left and right and see the whole thing. I love this airport. It's easy. I get off the plane and I weep. I'm just crying. Why? Because I remember being there with my parents when I was an adolescent girl. Haven't been there probably since. I go up to Detroit, where there's all these different terminals and complications, when in my backyard was this. And I'm remembering my parents. I'm feeling the connection with them. And in that moment, I'm crying, but it's a release because they're there with me. It's a happiness because I know now that even though they left this plane, in some ways they're closer to me than they've ever been. And I can feel them, I can see them, I can sense them. Then I walk out, and there's my sister. And what do? I start crying. She's like, what's the matter? I'm like, I'm just so happy to see you. And she gives me a big hug. At one point, I get this opportunity to do what I do as a minister. I get to minister to a family that has experienced the release of a loved one. And I know I'm in the right place. I know that I'm serving. I was free to be able to do that. And it was the most beautiful experience. I know that sounds odd, but it was beautiful. As people shared, and we remembered and celebrated and gave tribute to this being that felt really alive to me and does in this moment. And then I get in the car and I drive to 1707 Glendale Lane, all by myself. And it's where I grew up. Somebody else lives there now. It was the most idyllic place for anyone to grow up. I'm so grateful for that. And the house I grew up in is on a hill, and I can't go to it. I can't run in the door. I can't run in the backyard because they might haul me off. I'm free, but I'm not that free. In this realm, there's still consequences. But I go down the street to the park, and I can park at the park, and I can look up and I can see the house. And I can remember being a kid sledding down that hill. And I can see the trees in the backyard that used to be this big, but are now this big, that I used to hang on and climb. And I can see the playhouse in the backyard and the woods that every time I ran out the door, I'd run outside and my mom would go, "Don't go in the creek." And I ran down the hill into the creek. And the house where she would call me to come home at night, "Claudia, Claudia, Claudia, time to come home." And I'm sitting at the bottom of the hill, remembering all of this. And I'm feeling wounded. I'm feeling bruised. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling like the little girl coming home, so wanting Mom and Dad to be there. and the safety and the love that I felt. But in my mind's eye, I knew that the little girl who was returning was already safe, was already loved. And in all those intervening years, that I had made up rules about what it meant to be a good girl and a bad girl, and what it meant to be good, right, and what it meant to be wrong. And that I sat at the bottom of this hill, full circle, and I knew that that sense of love and safety never left me. That just like when we cross that threshold, we remember that that love and that safety was an echo of the voice for God, temporarily expressed through my parents, temporarily expressed through my sisters, temporarily expressed through my husband, temporarily expressed through you. I have nothing to hide, nowhere to go. I am a transparency for God, and this is what I declare. And I am independent from anything that would suggest otherwise, that that which is mine and that which is called to me in this life cannot be taken away. No one can be taken away. It feels like it. But we come to a place, if we persist in our teaching and walk this path, where we know that there's no end to love, there's no end to the safety, and that we abide in the living, powerful, effervescent, magnificent presence of life, and it is for us. This is what I celebrate this 4th of July. And that as I look perhaps at fireworks that celebrate the independence of a country, that we do what we always do in this teaching, we bring it within. And we can imagine that the celebration is for your soul and my soul, and the freedom that goes beyond the boundaries of a country and goes beyond the history of wars. And that it is time to let go of those things and to say, come on, meet me in that field beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, of good and bad. In that field, there's nothing left to talk about. In that field, we gaze upon home and know that we are loved, that we are safe, that life is for us. It doesn't happen to us, and we are free. And so it is. Amen. 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 And so we take a breath here. And so as we close this conversation, I just remember the attunement again. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. I am free. I am free. And so I bless each person that has gathered here today. I see and know each as free, each as unlimited, each as the Christ. And that we walk along our pathway having the human foibles, but that we begin to laugh, to sing, to play, to forgive, and to not take it so seriously, and to know that it is all for our awakening to the truth that sets us free, that God and I are one. If the heart is hurting this day, may it be consoled. May we remember the love and safety all around us and count the gifts and the blessings that abound. This is what I claim for us as we go forth from here, and so it is. Amen.